How goes it, all you sickos? We've got another Kingdom Hearts video for you today, where we will be discussing the foreteller Aced and his embodiment of the sin Sloth. But before we continue any further, be warned that spoilers are on the way. Now, as we covered in a previous video of mine, Ava is Greed, all of the foretellers are based on one of the 7 deadly sins. Aced's name translates to acedia, which is the Latin word for sloth. Now, before we move any further, let's uncover the sin sloth for a moment. When people hear sloth, they attribute it to laziness or apathy, which, while true, doesn't tell the whole story. If you trace the term acedia back and look at its spiritual definition, it goes as follows. Spiritually, acedia first referred to an affliction attending religious persons, especially monks, wherein they became indifferent to their duties and obligations. Now, if we take a look at Daybreak Town and the Unions, it's easy to attribute the foretellers and the Master of Masters to a spiritual hierarchy. Now, with that in mind, let's look at this quote again. An affliction attending religious persons, especially monks, wherein they became indifferent to their duties and obligations. That last part is the most important. Aced's duties and obligations can be attributed to his role given to him by the Master of Masters. For Aced to truly embody Sloth, it would mean that he will have deviated from his role, aka duties and obligations. So to look into this, let's play the scene where Aced was given his role by the Master.
Now then, allow me to tell you about your role. You're going to be Ira's right-hand man.
What? Ira's right-hand man? What do you mean?
Well, Ira's gonna be the new leader after I'm gone, you see. So, just stand by. Don't disappoint.
Explain to me, Master. What do you mean Ira's going to be leader?
What? Is that disappointment I hear? Did you want to be leader?
No! I mean, if you had asked me to be the leader, that's a different story, but I wasn't trying.
You really want to be leader, huh?
Well...
I know you want it, but that just isn't enough. Any chump can say, here's a huge promotion, good job, and make you head honcho. But enthusiasm alone doesn't make a great leader. Ira needs someone like you to give him a push in the right direction.
I agree. Ira is definitely the most worthy among us. I'm sure he'll make a fine leader.
Then it's settled.
Wait, I agreed that he is worthy. But why do we need a new leader, Master? Does that mean you will no longer be teaching us?
Well, I might disappear one day. Well, I might disappear.
Disappear? Why? Where?
Speak up sooner if you're listening. It was embarrassing for me. Anyway, I don't know if I'm gonna disappear or not. It's anyone's guess right now.
But...
In any case, you need to support Ira. We both know he's quite serious. He's always just thinking and thinking and thinking behind that unicorn mask of his. So everyone will be counting on you to spur him into action.
Right.
You might not be entirely happy with your role, but just know that it's the most important one. Capiche? Shall I elaborate? Making Ira the leader is all good in theory, but sometime later you might think, he's terrible at this. In which case it'll be your job to step up. Who knows? Your leadership might be just what everyone needs. And that is your true role. May your heart be your guiding key. Best of luck, Aced.
In the Master's words, Aced's role was to be Ira's right-hand man. That Ira needs someone like Aced to push him in the right direction. The Master also made a point that if Ira wasn't doing a good job, that it would be Aced's job to step up. Now, Aced might have taken that last part a little too far, being that overall the Master's main thesis was...
In any case, you need to support Ira.
The key words there being, in any case. So now the question becomes, where specifically did Aced embody Sloth by deviating from his role? Well, we see his first deviation here.
So what now? How do we find out who's behind this?
Seeing as those bangles couldn't have been acquired by just anyone, I believe it's one of us here in this room.
No, Ira. I respectfully disagree. What proof do we have that the bangles are tied to the power of darkness, or if a nightmare is to blame? We shouldn't simply jump to conclusions.
Ira, some leader you are. You've managed to plant seeds of doubt in all of us with that speech. What, did you expect the traitor to give themselves up with that accusation of yours? That was foolish.
Aced, that's quite enough.
It looks to me like the Master made the wrong choice.
When Ira reveals that he believes that there is a traitor among the Foretellers, we get a prompt reaction from both Envy and Aced. Aced, at the first sight of a potential misstep on Ira's part, immediately attacks and criticizes his actions, rendering them foolish. We see him then abandon the room and his fellow Foretellers. Now, in stark contrast to Aced, we see Envy respectfully disagree with Ira and explain her position. Even though she disagreed with Ira, she was still in support of him as a leader, whether he messed up or not. So right from the start, we could see that Aced put in almost no effort to support Ira. The Master asked him to be Ira's right-hand man and to push him in the right direction, not to discredit him, insult him, and abandon the meeting he called. We see almost immediately in back cover that Aced was indifferent to his duties and obligations, indifferent to his role given to him by the Master. However, Aced's sloth didn't stop there. His indifference towards his duties went beyond just his role given to him by the Master. We see not soon after that, Aced also wished to deviate from the Master's teachings, not just his role.
Hear me out, Envy. I want an alliance among our unions. Gula here has already agreed. Will you join us? And together we can—
And disobey the Master's teachings?
We don't have a choice! Darkness is approaching, and we need to combine our strength to stand against it.
The Master bestowed each of us with a different role, and he specifically told us to keep our union separate, to maintain the balance of power. He told us that any imbalance would lead to a desire for more power, which leads to darkness. I know you haven't forgotten.
Alliances were forbidden by the Master, yet Aced is overcome with this feeling of indifference to those teachings. On top of that, he is forming alliances behind Ira's back, quite the opposite of supporting him or being his right-hand man. Another example of his outright defiance of the Master's teachings can be found in this scene here.
If we don't do something, light will expire. Then we won't be able to avoid the grim future that awaits. We need to defy the Master's teachings to protect the world.
You're saying he was wrong?
He's not here anymore. I won't let his prophecy come true. I won't let the world fall into darkness.
At the end of the day, while Aced may be well-intentioned, his sloth towards his given obligations is creating more problems than it's solving. In his sloth, Aced outright turned his back on the role given to him by the Master by not supporting Ira, not pushing him in the right direction when he felt he was wrong, and by outright abandoning the Master's teachings when it came to forming alliances. Aced wasn't interested in supporting Ira, so much so that he didn't give Ira a chance to lead, never pushed him as he was directed, and failed to stand by him in times of trouble. When the Master told Aced that he may need to step up if Ira wasn't doing a good enough job, it did not mean to outright turn his back on him. But anyway, that's the video. I'm interested in what you guys think. Where do you think Aced's character is going to go from here? Drop a comment down below, give this video a like and a share, subscribe, and I will see all of you beautiful sickos later.